before. But yeah, so it's really good having you, Cecelia. You look gorgeous. I
Oh,
see
thank
you, girl.
you. Both of you do as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am, girl, I'm trying to recover. It's been a rough couple days. So I still feel like I'm still like going through it, like my face is still going through it, like just I really think it was the tacos we ate and the water when I made the transfer from the water over there to the water over here, because I think I just like drank a whole bunch of water and I think the mixtures of the water is just didn't sit well. So girl, I'm recovering my soul, my body, everything. I took like I went out to have brunch with my sister and my friend. And like when I came back, I was like, my soul is tired. I'm so tired. I went to sleep and I slept for 2 hours and a half. I was like, my body just needed the rest. I haven't been able to sleep well, but here we are.
Same.
Yeah.
So Cecelia was like, she went with us to Mexico. So it was a nice experience. How do you feel? You want to tell about your experience in Mexico since it was your first time?
Yeah, it was very beautiful. I was telling them, like, prior to going to Mexico, I had heard, like, you know, a lot of negativity about it, like it was a poor country and it's this and it's that. And so it was almost like a culture shock for me going there, because it was like everything that I've heard or, you know, been told. It's like, wow, like this is the complete opposite of what I thought that I was going to see. And I was just kind of blown away, really. It was just so beautiful. The architecture there, I've never seen anything like it. The murals that are painted on all the buildings and just the design of the city and the colors. The people, even, you know, I had an impression that Mexicans didn't like Black people as well. But like the Mexicans there were so friendly and so welcoming and so kind. And so it's just like everything that I thought, it was not that at all. So it was a beautiful experience and beautiful exposure. And just very glad that I went. And, you know, it was just beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Is awesome. I always like it when like Americans go to like our countries and things like that, and they just see that, I mean, like we striving, like things are different. Don't get me wrong, there is definitely differences, but then it's like, you know, it's just a different place with different people. But it's good. I always say it's so good to just get out of your zone, get out of your comfort to see the world type of deal.
I agree. The exposure is needed for a lot of reasons. So it was a good, like, little history, social studies lesson for me, so to speak.
That's good.
That's awesome. That's really good.
So tell me, like, because we were there, and you speak. I was telling her, you know, we were talking when we were doing one of the mountains, one of the citizens there, he was telling her like, your Spanish is so good. I was like, let me humble Cecelia. I was like, girl, your basic Spanish is so good. And she started laughing because she always laughs at me when I say crazy things. But how do you feel like being in a country where like it was just basic Spanish that you know, like, do you have any moments of where you feel like, man, I cannot express what I really want to express, or like I want to communicate this, but I can't do it?
I don't know. I think a part of me was expecting, right, to go to this country where assuming most of the people would speak Spanish. So I think that was kind of the expectation, knowing like the citizens would speak mostly Spanish. So I think I think it was a really good thing that I traveled with, you know, two native speakers, because in the events that I did need to translate something over, I did have that support. If I would have went by myself, I don't know what would, I mean, I probably would have had to download some apps or draw some pictures or do some sign language. So I think I was just very grateful to have traveled with native speakers. I think the only time I really felt like lost would be like when, so Liz Marie's sister has two close friends who live in Mexico. So we hung out with them a lot. We went to dinner and we did hiking and nature activities. And so at those dinners and in those activities, they were all speaking Spanish, like probably like 90% of the time. And so I was just kind of sitting there left out. And so that was really the only time I felt kind of uncomfortable. And I text my mom. I was like, Mom, if I come to this country again, I'm coming with somebody else who doesn't speak Spanish like me, because I feel so left out. So I think that was that was really awkward and uncomfortable for me to be sitting at a table where everybody's speaking Spanish and like I'm just there. And so I think that was the only time I really felt out of place. But I think that aside from that, I think like even like in the Uber rides with the Uber drivers who were speaking Spanish, I mean, it was fine. When I was trying to buy gifts or souvenirs, for the most part, like, I mean, I know all of my numbers in Spanish, so like I can ask how much, and when they say it back, like I knew how much they were saying. So, you know, I was kind of okay with that too. But it was interesting. I think it did tell me two things. That like when I came back to the States, the first thing is that I want to learn more Spanish, and because I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, and then I took 2 years of Spanish in college as well. So I was like, I just want to freshen up on my Spanish and learn a little bit more. And I think the second thing was just to travel with people like me. Like, I mean, it's fine traveling with you know, native Spanish speakers, but it's just so I can have somebody to talk to. But I think that was...
I feel like, I also feel like the girls did, because the girls, they were bilingual, they did a good job. There were moments, I think I also was there because the Spanish that they were speaking, I was also with you, because the Spanish, when they were speaking Spanish, they were just connecting about the memories they had and like the trips they did in Europe. But no, I mean, that is a good lesson to learn, you know, like, and sometimes I just bring another travel buddy with you. That is really good. But I mean, it is, I think it also like highlights, you know, just, you know, how you're gonna react in different places and in different companies. But with that being said, let's jump right into it. Let's do a quick introduction. We are a Pink Boat Experience, and we bring conversations to your living room, to your walking trail, to your treadmill, to the nearest gym to you. We just create a platform of like, my doorbell just rang. We create a platform for women to come into this space and to share their stories. We are a Christian podcast. We concentrate and focus on stories shared, speaking about God's glory, but we also invite other guests with other beliefs, other walks of life to come and share their story. And I am here with one of my beautiful co-hosts, Casey Herrera.
Hi, Casey.
Hi.
So Casey is our newest member, and we are just excited, so excited that she is part of the A Pink Bow Experience family. Lisette couldn't make it. We miss you, girl. A home girl.
Yes.
Don't feel it. Right or die chic. She's like, I do too much when I introduce her, but she went overreact. She is my she hero. And so she is, unfortunately, she's not here today,
Mm-hmm.
but she will be joining us in our next conversations.
Yeah.
And with that being said, let's introduce the beautiful Cecelia Moore. She is our guest today, and she is going to be talking to us from the theme Speak Loud. And I think like our conversation about Mexico is a great way to introduce like how it feels when you cannot speak as loud or as comfortably as you are used to, and just the different experiences like that you learn by being a different environment, especially in a country that you don't necessarily speak the language. So it's a perfect way to just start a conversation about speaking loud. To me, like speaking loud is like something that I have always known because I do have a naturally loud voice. I think in elementary, like during the fifth grade, I think that's when I realized that my voice couldn't like whisper. I just didn't have the whispering voice. Like my voice can just not get that low. It hurts when I whisper. And it's just like I think it's just because I naturally have a loud voice, and it's just like it just hurts. It hurts my vocal cords when I go too low. So I learned that I just couldn't whisper. I have to speak loud. I was made to speak loud.
It's funny.
I was just designed that way. But yeah, I mean, like speaking is like something that most people do, in one form or another. When we think about speak loud, we often think about just words, but people that might not use words, they speak loud with your hands and actions. But what does speak loud mean to you guys? Like, what does it mean, like, when
Well,
you
to
think?
me, speaking loud is more so not holding back. It's more of being confident in who you are and what you believe in, and not being afraid to share your voice. I think women have gone so long like being suppressed and being told, a lady acts like this, a lady acts like that, or you should do this, you shouldn't do that, you should say this, you shouldn't say that. And I think coming out of so many centuries of oppression, and just being able to be confident in who you are, confident in your skin, confident in your beliefs, and not fearing judgment, and not fearing rejection, and knowing that there are going to be some topics that you talk about, there are going to be some opinions that you have, that there are going to be people who don't agree with, but still being okay with that, and still being okay with speaking it, because you know that it is how you feel. And so to me, like, that is what speaking loud is. Speaking loud can be a ministry in a source, because you sharing testimonies or sharing advice or sharing wisdom could reach somebody and really change somebody's life, or impact someone's life that you may know about, or you may never ever know about. You may share something that someone, they share with someone else, and then they share with someone else, and then it changes someone's perspective. And so speaking loud is just knowing that every time you open your mouth, no matter what day or what time it is, every time you open your mouth, it's an opportunity to impact someone, be it making them smile, making them laugh, making them, helping them to heal, answering a question that they may, be struggling with, that you have no idea about. So speaking loud is just an opportunity to share. And that's what it means to me.
Yeah. I really love when Cecelia said about the fact that is a ministry. It could be a ministry, and that's really what I was going to say. I really think that speaking loud is really having an identity of who you are as a person, and also as a child of God. That's how I really see it. Just not holding back your opinions on what you believe, despite of what other people or even around the world, what they might think or how they might react to that. Because we always, for the most part, we always try to like hold back to express our feelings and really come out there and speak loud about your beliefs, about what you think, because we're so afraid of what everybody else is going to say. So speaking loud to me is just like stands out on anything. Even if it's a problem that you need to solve, you really need to stand out and like step up and just like get it done. Also stand out, like I said, in your beliefs, as a person, like really just like push forward if it's to go to school or to become more involved in the church and just giving your opinions and giving your thoughts. Like what means to me is just like speaking loud in all the aspects of your life, not just in one particular. Maybe you may feel that you're more stronger in one area than the other, but to me it kind of like is in general, just stand out, just really really just standing out among everybody else. So that's what I.
That is really good. It's funny because when I was thinking about speaking loud, I also was thinking like moments of silence. So when I was like just like kind of like just pondering on this theme and like to speak loud, I thought about a lot about self-control. And I guess in my personal experience, I talked a lot about self-control because I had to learn that speaking loud, it can be as much as a building block as it can be like a weapon to destroy or hurt somebody. So those were lessons that I had to learn as I was growing up, because I used to be so quick with the tongue. I used to be like da 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 da. This is what I assume, or this is what I think, and you're not gonna talk to me like that. Like I used to just like come off that way, or I used to be, like when you're young, you have a crush on so many people. I'd be like, hey, what's your number? Like speaking loud and just, being so quick, like not having that self-control. And then as I grew up, I was like speaking loud is a tool. Like you have to have self-control with this tool.
Yes.
And it goes hand in hand, ironically, with knowing when to speak out. So when you're not speaking out, you are like silent. So in your silence, there is also a loudness. Like a way of communicating also. So I learned that those two are married to each other. And I really like think about this when it comes to problem solving. Like when I'm in the midst of something, like in the midst of a dilemma, what do I do? Like, do I speak loud in that moment, or do I speak loud by being silent? So it's almost like an oxymoron type of deal. But I truly believe that they go hand in hand. They complement each other. It's a self-control thing. And yeah, it is like a rite of passage type of deal. Like you learn to be comfortable in your identity and believe that you speak loud about certain things, certain injustice. At the same time, you choose or you learn to discern like when to speak. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you feel that silence, or let's say this, do you feel like speaking loud requires some type of self-control or awareness, or should you just always say something no matter how wrong or right somebody else is? Should you always say what you need to say?
I feel like you should say what you need to say. I feel like speaking loud doesn't mean that you're being aggressive or that you're being like rude or like, let me tell you. Speaking loud can be done with tact, with maturity, with responsibility, with integrity. And I think for me, when I am, it's interesting how you said, like, you know, silence can be just as loud as speaking loud. When I think about that comment, I think about myself personally. I can't speak for anyone else, but if something is bothering me, my silence reflects something's wrong. It's a loud signal. You can tell in my body language, you can tell in my face, you can tell in my emotions, you can tell in my tone. I don't sound the same. I'm not my happy-go-lucky, giddy self. And so my silence is usually how those closest to me know something's bothering me. And so when I hold things in, if something is hurting me or angering me or upsetting me, the more I hold it in, the stronger those nonverbal cues get, the louder those nonverbal cues get. And I think so for me personally, it is very important for me to speak, but to also have wisdom when I do speak. And so I'll pray and I'll ask God to guide my words, to calm my temper. I'll call my mom and I'll tell my mom what's going on. I always call my mom first, and my mom always prays with me, prays over me, and just for God to guide my conversations into whatever is going on. I think a perfect example can be this past work week where I had issues at work with some members on my team, and information had gotten back to me about things that were said, and I knew that there was no way that we can continue working professionally, pretending like everything was fine, when I know in the back of my head I'm going to be like, and so I knew that it was important for me to address the issue immediately, because that is the only way that I can work in a conducive environment. That is the only way that I can be the best version of myself. That is the only way that I can be happy to show up, right? Because nobody wants to show up to an office or a building when they feel all of this tension or all of this animosity. And so for me to not have those negative feelings coming into a building, because if you have negative feelings, it's going to affect your performance, right? Yeah. And so for me to not have that, it was something that I had to address. And so I prayed about it. I called my mom. She prayed about it as well. And then I went to my boss, because I felt like that was a conversation. It was a sit-down conversation that needed to be had, and that needed to be addressed. And I felt like it was important for her to know how I was feeling and to know what was going on. And the meeting went beautifully. The meeting went well. Both of my bosses were very apologetic. They were very sincere. They were very genuine. They were very open. They were very receptive to the criticism that I gave them. They were very understanding, and they were very proactive to fix what was broken. And that to me was like, okay, so this is how I know it is the right thing to do, to share my voice. And, I was in therapy for a few years, and my therapist was actually the one who taught me to be loud and proud, right? My therapist was the one who said, Cecelia, you walk around, because, Cecelia 10 years ago was not Cecelia today at 33. Cecelia at 23 was the Cecelia who held in things that was bothering her, and was the Cecelia who kept a lot of emotions bottled up, and it was poisoning for my body, and it was not healthy for me mentally, spiritually, emotionally, or physically. And so going to therapy actually taught me to real-time feedback. If something bothers you, my therapist says, Cecelia, something bothers you, speak on it. Don't hold it. You have to get it out, because the longer you keep it bottled in, the worse it's going to get. And so then I walk around holding in all of these emotions, and then I have a big, massive explosion on somebody one day, and they're like, why did you just bite my head off like that? And it's because it's been like 10 years of stuff that's been bottled up, and that's not fair to them, and it's not fair to myself. And so I think that that was probably one of the best pieces of advice that I got walking away from therapy, was to learn to share my voice. And I think as long as it's done with tact and integrity and maturity, as long as God is at the head, you know, if there's an issue that you have to address, if there is a topic that you want to talk about, pray over it. I always pray about it, and ask God to guide my words, order my steps, and it never fails me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I completely agree. Yes, for my part, I feel that keeping it in, it's it's not as beneficial, because I was the one that always would like keep everything in, and it gets to a point that it's like it comes out of nowhere, just as Cecilia just mentioned. But I always, every time that there's a circumstance that happens, or a miscommunication, let's just say that, I always try to like breathe and just ask for the Holy Spirit to guide me, to rest upon me, because I don't want to act according to my flesh. I want to act according to what God wants to do in the middle of that circumstance. But because we go through that circumstance, yes, that way we know how to react and how we're going to react. That also not just shows that person, the type of person you are in the middle of the circumstance, but also teaches you personally and builds your character and who you are as a person. So I always ask the Lord for him to just really guide, you know, my mind, my words, and that everything that comes out comes in a right way, with wisdom, with understanding, with love, not criticizing, not attacking the person, but making that person understand where I'm coming from, as much as that person is trying to make me understand where they're coming from. So that's where the communication comes in. So when it comes to holding it in and just keeping it silent, that speaks loud.
Yeah.
But as much as that speaks loud, on the other side, that really bothers you. And it just holds you back, not only for that relationship to work or that problem to be solved, but as a person, as a child of God. You know, it just kind of like keeps that rock like right in front of you. And if you don't move that rock, and if you don't solve that problem, like Cecilia said, it just builds up and keeps building up and keeps building up. So that's very important, to communicate, you know, to not hold back, and just do it the right way. You know, just do it with respect, just do it with love, and just pray for the best, you know, and just have that person to understand where you're coming from, and just basically just solve, you know, the issue that might be going on at that moment.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And definitely, yes, I agree. We everything that was said, like some things that like stood out to me, like when you guys were speaking. And I'm gonna go back to some of the things that Cecelia was talking about, just tact, maturity, and integrity. And I think when I made those reference of like silence is as loud as speaking loud, I think those words are the founding words. You know, there are moments of like, just like the example that Cecelia gave, like she had an office situation that needed to be resolved, and she needed to speak loud about it. I think that the one can say that she filters things through tact, maturity, integrity. She was mature enough to understand that even though it was like presented to her in a form that is like distasteful, because nobody wants to hear secondhand information, right? As she
Right.
just expresses, it immediately puts you on guard, right? Because
Right.
it's like, well, somebody was speaking about me, and I was not even given the fair chance to stand for myself or to plead my case. So I think that's when maturity comes into place. A lot of times we just think like, and I feel like in society nowadays you hear a lot of loudness, but you don't hear a lot of tact and maturity and integrity. Like everybody's speaking so loud and saying these things like, well, I'm gonna tell them like, oh, I cannot believe who they think they are. I'm this and that. I'm in this position. I like that's still speaking loud, right? But
Right.
you're not filtering it through tact, maturity, and integrity. And I think those are the key points. Like she had this situation presented
Mhm.
to her. She was mature enough to understand that there is also a chain of command when speaking. Like that's something that we often overlook. And I actually would like to go back to this because there is like a beautiful biblical example of this in Numbers, and I will be looking it up later to bring it to case. Let me make a note over here. Um, but she through that maturity, Cecelia was like, okay, there is a structure about speaking loud. Maybe she didn't say it to herself like that, but that's where her wisdom and maturity came in. She was like, there is a structure, there is a pathway of communication. And like speaking loud, if done correct, it creates like teachable moments. It creates empowering people, building people up, and it opens communication to better relationships. So she went to her boss, she went to her director, and she spoke about this. She used tact, right? So that's tactful, like presenting to them like, hey, this bothers me, this is what's weighing my spirit, this is the direction that I would like to take as a leader. I need my leader's guidance to help me walk this path. So maturity, tactfulness, know what to ask for, know what the problem solving situation requires of you. Does it require you to be loud? Does it require you to be be more of a teacher? Does it require you to be silenced? What does the problem solving requires of you? And then be integral. Integrity, like she could have very much served the same type of medicine, right? She could have been like, well, this is what I think about them, let me tell you. And she couldn't like went the other way and started like rumors. But
Right.
she was like, I'm gonna be integral. I'm gonna have a sit down conversation with my peers, and this is how we can work together and build, right? And then you said something, Casey, that it was like, yeah, girl, yes, girl, we connected. You said timing. There is a timing. Like there are moments, and this is why for me, my journey, silence is as loud as speaking, but then there is a timing, right? There is a timing of speaking because when you don't use your internal clock, you sometimes can speak out of turn and out of season, and that can create as much damage as keeping something in. When you speak out of season, you can create a lot more damage. Instead of like having that teachable moment, that growth moment, you can very much have you can digress and you can hurt other people in their growth. It is speaking loud is just like it's like this evolving thing. And like I really feel like Cecelia gave the foundations of it. Like it's about maturity, it's about tact, and it's about integrity, which which all gets facilitated through timing. Like if you use these foundational points in the correct timing, your aftermath is gonna be proactivity and teachable moments.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure. Definitely.
So so tell me about a time that you wanted to speak louder, speak about something, but you didn't do it. It could be we a crush. It could be we your siblings. It could be something funny, something serious. And what type of lesson do you learn from it?
This is a time we wanted to speak loud, but we didn't.
Yes. Or you just feel like, man, the timing didn't feel right, or you were just too scared, or just too immature, right? Because sometimes it's just like a maturity issue. So I do, I have a time, and this is my freshman year of college. Okay. It is hilarious.
Oh boy, here we go.
In your first year of college, there's so much awkwardness because there is so much growth happening. Like you are still a kid, but you are becoming an adult. You are of adult age, but we are kid mentality. And like your actions are a mix of those two words, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember like I believe it was I think it was a world religions class. And there was just this good looking boy that was sitting in front of me. I remember him up to this day. He was a white boy. He was tall. He was in the basketball team. He had like, he would wear his hair like in I guess it's a fade, like low cut here. And I just thought he was so cute. He was very quiet, very reserved. And I was like, oh my goodness, he's so cute. Like I want to like introduce myself to him. I want to like become study buddies. Like it was just very innocent. Like I just want to know him. I want him to speak to me. So I was telling my friends about it, and I was like, oh my God, he's so cute. And then I see behind him. And then there was like one day we were in the common area. We were just in between classes eating, and he sits like right, I believe he was behind us with two of his friends, which appeared to be two girls that it seems like they were his friends. And my friends were like, oh my God, this is the time. Just introduce yourself, tell him that you are in his world religions class with him, you sit next behind him. And like I was just so scared to speak loud in that moment. I just didn't have the maturity. I didn't have just like the confidence to speak loud. And like, so I mean, I don't think about him, but during that time, like when that semester ended, I thought about why didn't I speak? Why didn't I introduce myself? And it was like, man, he could have been a great friend. Who knows, you know? So it was like a moment like that, very innocent, right? But it's a moment where like, what could it have been if I had spoken to that person, or if I had spoken in that moment? So that's my story. Wherever you are, I don't know your name until this day, but know that I thought you were cute, and I like how you carry yourself. You were so respectful. So yes, you probably married with kids, so it's okay. You were cute.
Do you know his name?
No, I don't. I don't. I don't know if I knew it, and I just don't remember anymore. But I can't, nothing comes to mind. I remember how he looked like.
That is cute.
Okay.
I can't think of a.
Yeah, me neither. I'm trying to think here, like what? Huh.
I think I did speak and say something, but it was too late. Please tell. So there's this guy who I still just
girl.
And speaking into a system.
So we went to high school together, and we were social media. Well, we are social media friends. And for like the longest time, this is before I deactivated my Facebook account, but on Facebook, like every time I would post something, he would be like, oh yeah, you know, you should go there, or don't go there, or don't do this. And like when I just kept thinking, like every time I saw him, I was like, oh, he's so fine, like he is so cute, like he just, you know, he seems like he seems like he's my type. He got a beard, he got a degree, like he got a good job, he don't got no kids. And I just had his biggest crush on him, but I always was like, well, he the one who keep commenting on all my posts. Like, if he likes me, he should say something.
Right.
And so I went to Vegas one time, and he was like messaging me. He was like, don't play this slot. You should play this one so you can win money. And he was just like always like being like my friend. So finally, maybe after like a few years of this, I finally said, I think I messaged him and I said, hey, how come we aren't friends? Like, how come we never hang out? I was like, we have so much in common. We're always, you know, commenting on each other's posts. We do the same type of hobbies and activities. We live in Atlanta by each other. We both like, I studied education. He studied social work. So we like deal with kids. So it's like, you know, and our birthdays are like a week apart. So like every year on social media, I'm always like, happy birthday, Virgo twin. And then he'll be like, happy birthday, Virgo twin. And so I'm like, you know, how come we don't hang out? Like, why aren't we like friends in real life? And so his response was, because I have a girlfriend. And I was like,
no, this was this.
Oh my goodness, hard.
Like, this was like the one time like I shoot my shot, and I was like, oh my God.
It was like this. It was like,
I know, I missed it so much. And I was like, I said, I can respect that, definitely understand that. And he says, no, I don't want you to be offended or take it the wrong way. He was like, but I don't hang with women that I'm attracted to. Like, I don't have
look at him being an integral man.
And so he said, you know, I don't have any female, I don't have many female friends, and the ones I do have, I'm not attracted to. And he was like, so honestly, I would never be your friend or hang out with you, because I wouldn't even want to jeopardize my relationship or myself. And so I was like, okay, he thinks I'm fine, so yay. And okay.
Find the positivity in everything. He thinks I'm fine. That's all he matters.
I'm fine.
I'm fine. That's all I heard. But forget that the man just said that he's such an integral man that he will not allow himself to be your friend.
I know.
He was just like, no, he thinks I'm fine.
He thinks I'm fine. I was so happy about that. But then like, but then it also hit me from a perspective of like, there are good men out there. And that's going to be my husband one day telling a woman that he's not going to talk to her. And it was quite inspiring to see. He wasn't even married. He married that girl now. But at the time he wasn't even married, but he had already made up his mind that he was going to propose, and that was somebody he was going to take serious. And so for him to even use tact with rejecting me, and just showing his loyalty to his partner at the time, it was quite inspiring. It actually made me like him more, because I was like, whoop. But it was very,
he's off the market.
He's off the market, but it was very inspiring and very encouraging to know that there are good men out there who won't drop up the opportunity or be deceitful. And so I really like that, that he said that, because it really made me feel like, okay, you know, it's more of him out there. So that was the one time. And then I was like, you know what? I should have shot my shot a long time ago, because if I would have asked him a long time ago to hang out, it would have been before he met her. But it's all a part of God's plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the one time I feel like I waited too late to say something.
Girl, it does happen. It does happen. Like, it does happen.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't remember in the back of my head something that I have not spoken out loud. I really can't remember anything.
Well,
So
that's good. Good for you,
That
girl.
is good.
That's good. But I do like that there are moments when we do speak loud or when we decide not to. There is always like something that we learn, like, and if you have the mentality of like learning, if you have an open mind of like looking for the good or like the lesson to be learned, you can advance, you can move forward, like what I learned from my lesson is like it's okay to just like say hi to somebody, like introduce yourself, because if nothing ends up being like, if he doesn't end up being your friend or anything, at least you put into practice like introducing yourself, like going after what you want, right? And like for Cecelia, her lesson was like, look, even if like society or like what we see in dating apps or like when we
Lord
go
have
on
mercy.
dates, it's not what really, it's not what is all left. Like there are still good men that say like, no, like I'm integral and I have my heart committed to somebody, so I'm not gonna jeopardize that because of a friend or just because you think I'm cute and stuff like that. So it's good to know that, and it's good to have this aha moment of like, yes, this is what I want to pursue, you know? Like it takes me into the point of like singleness, like how loud you have to be during singleness. Like it's funny because when you think of singleness, you think of like just single, right? Like singular. But like you have so many different encounters during your single walk, where you have to speak loud, where you have to either say like, yo, this is not something that I want to do, this is not something that I want to compromise on, this is what I want, this is what I'm seeking. So there is a lot of moments of like self-advocating in, and you have to do it tactfully because it's a question of somebody's heart. You have to be mature about it because you handling somebody's emotion. And like I went through like I don't have a long boyfriend history. I think I have maybe like 3 or 4 serious boyfriends or like prospects. But I learned so much from each one of them. Like I for my first boyfriend, the first crush that I have, we never said I love you, but like I thought I was in love with him. I learned like so much about speaking up. You learn so much through speaking, you learn so much through communication. There were times, where he said things that were distasteful about my accent or my writing skills, like during that time, like I was still becoming strong in English. And I remember having a lot of internal battles with myself of like, should I speak about this? Should I defend myself about this? Or should I just laugh it up like he's laughing about it? So because I was a loudmouth back then and I was just a little hood with sunshine, I used to speak up about it, but I used to offend and I used to just go off on him, like in a way that I wasn't teaching him, or in a way that I was not educating him in why those comments were hurtful and why those things were distasteful. And then it created frustration in my side. I would end up crying and being upset and like, like Casey, I'm not sure if you're single or not, but have you guys found yourself um thinking about how loud do you have to be in this season of singlehood if you are single?
Well, I am single, but in that terms, when it comes to becoming loud, um, like in terms of a relationship, I really have not really stopped to think about that. Honestly, I really just have let the Lord deal with it, and then when the time comes and how it comes, then it will be done. But something that really came back to me as you were speaking, the Lord brought this to my mind. Something that I should have spoken before, and I really held back, was when Cecelia, you don't know really my story. So back in 2018, I got paralyzed. So I'm currently in a wheelchair. And I went through many treatments in which my body changed a lot. I got really swelled up. So when that happened, I was really holding myself back, of sharing what I've been through at that moment, sharing, even going outside to the grocery shop. I was very embarrassed of going out, of speaking loud about my circumstances, about what I've been through and what I've been going through. But I noticed that I, even before being paralyzed, I had a dance ministry. So I used to dance at the church. And that's one of the challenges, not only just speaking loud with my voice, but with my actions. That was something that really got me out of my comfort zone, is doing dance, even in the wheelchair. So that's something that in the beginning, I didn't speak loud. But as God started to really touch my heart and getting me out of my comfort zone, because speaking loud really pushes us out of our comfort zone. So as God started to minister to my life, as God started to deal with me, even me being paralyzed, even my life changing out of nowhere, God has led me to getting out of my comfort zone and being able to speak loud, share my testimony, share my story, as this is the Pinkville experience, is about sharing our story, and just really just saying, hey, you're going through this, but you're gonna get to the other side. Hey, you're in the sickness right now, but I declare healing over your life. You're gonna be well. Because if God has given you a promise, because if God has ministered to your life, you're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what God has really pushed me out of my comfort zone, to really speak loud, to really forget about my circumstance and do what God has called me to do. You know, speaking loud, motivating, sisterhood. This is all about sisterhood. Yeah. So that's one of the moments in the beginning that it was really a struggle for me. Even though, like you said, if you would have talked to the guy before, you know, if things would have happened the way that perhaps you wanted it to, you know, it would have been different. But sooner than later, you kind of presented to yourself like, hey, why aren't we friends? So little by little, you try to get that confidence to really speak out. Right. Same thing was with me. I didn't speak loud with my words, but with my actions, with me just coming out and me just being an open book, you know? So that's one of the things that I thought I was going to do sooner rather than later. But that's one thing that really like pops out in the midst of all this. So I see it like that. So
that's good. I'm glad that you remember that, because it is important to talk about that, because we do have moments where we just either become ashamed and we don't speak loud about it, and you know, people don't benefit, like when you, and like, this is why we do what we do, this is what we hear, this is why we always said welcome to the sisterhood, because in the sisterhood we tell We share our shame with you. We share the moment where we got rejected. We share the moment of where we wanted to speak to the cute college guy that used to sit in our world religions class. We share the moment where we lost the feeling in our legs, and we tell you like we are here, we are surviving. We did had a moment that we didn't speak loud, or when we learned, maybe we didn't speak in the right time, but we learn from it. We learn that there are still good guys out there. We learn that God can use me in a wheelchair, out of a wheelchair. I learned to wait for my miracle, and to believe that a miracle will happen. I learned that, there is power in our introduction, and you shouldn't be fearful of introducing yourself and letting people know that, hey, I'm here. I see you. I just want you to see me too. So there is so much value in these moments of speaking loud. And actually, your story reminded me to go back to the story that I wanted to tell. Let me change it's 27. I'm just gonna change it to English real quick. And this story is found in Numbers chapter 27, verses 1 through 11. And it's basically four daughters. Their father had died in the wilderness, in the desert, when the Israelites were just walking to the promised land. Their father had died. Moses decided to do a census amongst the people. Like in these times, right, like in these biblical times, like the males are the heirs of like land and things like that. So their father didn't have any male sons, they were all daughters. So these four women, they decided, their names are so hard. The names of these daughters were Mahala, Noah, Hohala, Milcah, and Tilsa. So they stood before Moses and the prophet Eliezer, and they were like, hey, there is no male here amongst us in our family. Do not let our father's name die. Let us be the carrier of that name. Give us land. And I think this is just a beautiful example of one. It teaches me that like women have a special place in God's heart. Is constant vessels, regardless of what we sometimes get told by society. Like women are very important in the Bible. God constantly, from the Old Testament, Numbers is that in the Old Testament, from the Old Testament to the New Testament, God continuously uses women, not in like a little way, but in a big public way, like impacting generations kind of way. These four women were doing something that was not being done before. They were coming to the leader of the nation and telling them, I'm basically making a demand for land, something that was not culturally done, politically done in those times. And they won the case. They were given land at the end of the story. So I encourage you to read the story. It's Numbers chapter 27, verses 1 through 11. And I think this is just a beautiful thing because it's a moment of timing, right? Speaking loud, timing. It is 2021, and we can still read this story. Like that's how their speaking loud has impacted history, So it tells me, it goes back to that pathway, that structure, going to your to your leaders and speaking out when a problem needs to be solved. This story can be put into place in, like, in your career. If you are a career woman, like, just the power, if there is not a policy in place, speaking out about that policy, going to your leaders and saying, hey, it's not fair that we don't have, I don't know, let's say maternity leave. 60% of your employees are women, young women, like in their prime, thinking about building a family. It is important. Like, it can be applying a scenario like that. It can be applied in your personal life. If you think somebody's doing injustice in your life, if they're treating you emotionally in a way that does not reflect that you are a woman of the Most High God, that you are designed, and that you are a flower in a beautiful vessel to be treated with the utmost respect, you need to speak out to that person. You need to be like, hey, I'm sorry. You are speaking against my nature and my name, and I will not have it. And you can change generations and you can change history by just taking a stand. So I love this story, and I love that the Holy Spirit brought it to memory today, because it's just like, it tells me two things. It tells me how God uses just anyone he wants to. It's not just because they were women, but God uses anybody he wants to. But I also like the fact that God uses unique vessels. It probably was unexpected to Moses, to the people, for these four women to make a claim, because I'm pretty sure they were not the first one that this has happened to, but they were the first one that spoke loud about it. And I love that God decided it was important enough to put it in the Bible. It teaches us something about his nature. It teaches us something about his design, that he has a purpose for all of us. All of us play a role, and that role becomes part of a history of liberation and freedom when you speak loud in the right timing, with maturity, with tactfulness and integrity. The aftermath is always going to be productivity.
Yes, I agree completely.
100%.
So I didn't mean to just dump all this like seminar stuff, but I think it's important to just how relatable the Bible is to our everyday life.
Yes.
So, just speaking loud. What are some other stories that come about speaking loud? How can I say this? What is advice that you would like to tell women, Cecelia, about speaking loud? And we are gonna wrap up with this advice, because we do want you to come out of this encouraged and motivated to create those changes, like these four women, which I'm not gonna repeat their names because I know I butchered them. But you can find them in the Bible, oh girl. And you can help me with that pronunciation by leaving a comment, replying, making a post and tagging us on Instagram. We are here for it, girl.
Oh, yes.
So, what word of advice would you like to give women, Cecelia, about speaking loud? If this was your 1 minute speech before you die, girl, because you don't want to like take me to the forest, I told her like this is a running joke for us. So I don't know if you know Casey. I know Cecelia since I was 19. I don't think I have told you that. So we worked together. We had a period of like growing apart where we were not together as friends. As of recent, I want to say a year ago, we reunited again, but it feels like we never had that gap. I think it was a 10-year gap, right?
Wow.
No, less.
It was less than 10 years.
Yeah.
In May. Mm,
That's a blessing, though.
It is. It is a blessing. I don't know how many years. It was less than 10. But yeah, I think we reconnected at the beginning of 2020.
Yes.
At the very,
Okay.
very beginning.
Okay, so 2
2020.
years. 2 years. Jesus.
Yeah.
So 2 years of being reunited. And like, she's one of my cool friends, one of my close friends. I cherish her a lot, respect her a lot. And like, we always joke around and say, I tell her, like, girl, when I die, you only have one job. Girl, you only have one job. Take my body to the forest because I want to die in the middle of the forest. In peace.
Are you serious? Are you
That's the
I'm
most
serious,
ridiculous
like,
thing you have ever heard.
Lord have mercy. I'm gonna be praying for you over here, girlfriend.
Look, another one that's not gonna join. I was like, look, this is a dying woman wish.
She says I'm not a real friend because I won't take her. I said, well, I guess I'm not a real friend then.
I'm like, but I'm like, girl, just take me to the mountain.
Where did you get that idea from?
Exactly.
I always wanted to die amongst like the open sky so I can be looking at Jesus like at my home face to face. Like, this is where I'm going. The mountains surrounding me,
Girl.
nature calling my name.
Oh my goodness.
My spirit living into eternity with my Lord.
It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, a little too dramatic. I don't know what's the word, but it's around there.
You know, a little out there, but God knows that it's a happy place for me.
Her sister will take her because
she will take me. I tell her, I'm like, she will take me. I will FaceTime you, girl.
I won't pick up.
That's her stuff, Cece.
Oh, that's too funny.
Okay, so this is your departing speech, Cecelia, and this is the speech or the words that you want to leave to the world, to the next generation of women. Let's pretend you are 99. You breathing in your last breath. What do you want to say to the next generation of women about speaking loud?
I would say you have to love yourself first, right? Because self-confidence comes from loving yourself. And if you don't have self-love and self-confidence, you're never going to be able to speak loud and advocate for yourself and communicate how you're feeling, because you're always going to be worried about what people may think or worried about how someone may feel. So I think that the first thing is to have confidence in yourself, to know that your voice is worthy to be heard, your concerns are valid, and that you do deserve to have peace. And so if there are topics that you want to share, if there's a concern that you have, just don't hold it in, because it is bad. It can harm you spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically, holding in and walking around holding on to that baggage. And I'm not just saying that because I read it in a book or saw it on TV. I'm saying it because I lived it and I breathed it. And so my advice would be to just take your time, though. Do not let your emotions lead when you are speaking loud. Pray about it. Handle it with integrity. Make sure that your words that are coming out are clear and concise. Don't talk in circles, don't talk in riddles. Whatever it is that you need to say, you say it, and don't try to beat around the bush. Be concise and be direct and be intentional with whatever it is that you're talking about. Whatever it is that you're saying to someone, whatever your goal is at the end of a conversation with someone, make sure that your goals are clear, and that you are communicating to someone in a way that they can understand, right? and just be comfortable in what you're saying, and know that regardless if it doesn't come out the way you wanted it to come out, like you don't get the reaction or the response that you wanted, or if you do get the reaction that you wanted or response that you wanted, you still, even if you never said it, you'll always regret not saying it. You'll never regret saying it, regardless of what it is, because now it's been out there. And the more you practice, speaking, I would even advise talking to a close family member or a close friend first, rehearsing what you want to say so they can give you feedback. A lot of times I call my mom and I'm like, okay, mom, how does this sound? And she's like, let's take this out, or, and so I would say have an accountability partner, someone that you trust, someone that you can openly communicate with, and to just kind of give you feedback to guide you along the way so that you're not alone. And that would be my advice for speaking loud.
That's good. That's good. I think those are the perfect words to wrap up this segment about speaking loud. So, thank you for joining the conversation, Cecelia. We hope to be part of your journey as you grow and like learn more about life, more about your walk with God, more about all the future things that God's gonna bring into your life. We hope that a Pink Bow experience is a place that you can come back and share their stories and continue to encourage girls and women alike. So yes, guys, this is us. We are here. Casey and I and Lisette. She's missing today in action, but you will be seeing her in the next conversations. And we have so many exciting things for you. In January, we are going to be having our big meeting, talking about some plans. Tenemos cosas buenas. We have some good stuff. Casey, do you have something that you want to tell our ladies before we leave?
Yes, just stay encouraged, stay focused. Don't let anything bring you down. Keep on moving forward. God is in control. God is will be helping you, will be guiding you, will be sustaining you. And hey, we got good news for from January on forward. Just stay tuned. Just watch for everything that we'll be posting, because we're gonna have some fun this year. And also we'll be ministering to the lives and just getting together. You're not alone in this. We're all together in this. Remember, sisterhood, we're here. We are here,
ladies. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.